All right, I love getting to answer parents' questions, and I find that it really helps parents to be able to get their questions asked and then work through the mental math, the nuance as a pediatrician, whether it's a pediatric issue or a parenting issue. So my hope is that I can share more questions, and if you have a question, there's a link below where you can, submit your audio message. But here's one today that's specifically about a toddler that the parent is wondering, are they speech delayed? Should they do?
I was wondering when you recommend speech therapy. We have a 27-month-old boy who has probably about 30 words, and he will use a few 2 or 3 word sentences like, I want to try, or I want that, or all done now. And when we sit and read books, he'll point to pictures. If I ask where, the item is on the page, he'll also, now he repeats words back to me. If I say, can you say baboon? He'll say baboon. But he hasn't had like any significant word explosion yet. And he can't say his own name, which is Colton or Cole. And the teachers think that he's a little bit hard to understand. Like he might not be pronunciating the words fully, but I also think he's just like a 2-year-old. So he goes to a very part-time preschool from 9 to noon, and they suggested that it might not hurt to have a speech evaluation done just to see where he stands and to get a little bit more help, but they aren't overly concerned. The other thing to note is that he has had an incident where he bit another child. They were fighting over a toy at preschool, and the teachers think it's because he doesn't have enough words to really be able to fend someone off or express his feelings, which I know is also normal, but it's happened a few times at home too, and they think if he develops more words, it could help with the biting. So curious what you think about speech therapy. Earlier is better, or it's kind of overdone and wait and see. Thank you so much. Bye.
Okay, great question. The thing that I think about when it comes to speech evaluations, by and large, if your gut is telling you there might be something here, or if you're hearing multiple times from caregivers or other people that are around your child, I think their speech could be clearer. I'm not sure that they're making the same progress. It certainly is worthwhile to seek an evaluation, because the worst thing that they can say to you is, yeah, things are okay. Let's just keep an eye, like this is within the typical range. As a parent, you have your N of one or maybe N of a few where you know their trajectory when it comes to development, all those sorts of things. As a pediatrician, as a speech language pathologist, as somebody that sees tons and tons of kids, we have a much larger sample section that we can say this falls within the normal limits, or this is outside the normal limits, we should do something more. So I always feel bad when parents are put in the position of like, well, you decide what you think you should do. You should have somebody that can kind of walk alongside you and say, yeah, I've seen a lot of kids and this is entirely within the normal range, or this falls slightly outside the normal range, we're going to watch, or this is a little bit further outside the typical range that I see, and I think further work should be done. Now, 27-month-old, about 30 words, some really short phrases. I think it's reasonable to get an evaluation done based on those kind of quantitative measures as well. Kids that age can have anywhere from 25 to 75 words typically. They're combining 2-word phrases. They certainly understand a lot more than they're able to communicate, but they are making progress when it comes to those word explosions. And I typically see that kind of word explosion between 18 and 30 months or thereabouts. So we're kind of in that range still, but I think it would be worthwhile to get something on the books when it comes to more of an evaluation. Speech evaluations help because speech is so integral. The way that we communicate, the way that we're able to express our frustrations and our needs and connect makes a huge difference. And so I do find that earlier is better when it comes to getting an evaluation done so that we can put things into place. And at an early age, usually it's a lot of like modeling. It's a lot of parent training of do these things at home. Let's practice this. You say it this way, ask it this way. Those are really helpful strategies that a speech language pathologist can personalize and put together for you so that at home you're doing the right things when it comes to helping to develop their speech and allow the natural development of more speech and communication to come through. Now, the biting is very typical at this age, whether or not we're talking about speech delay or not. And like you said, it is a communication thing. Biting gets results. And so if your child is biting and it's getting them the communication that they can't say, hey, I'm frustrated, hey, you took that, hey, get away from me, that sort of thing, biting communicates. And so biting is entirely normal. I don't think that there's any reason to shame, guilt, why did you bite, those sorts of things with a child, because they won't understand that. They won't remember that when they're in the thick of it. Daycares, preschools are really good at handling biting. So I find that it's not anything that we need to get worked up about as parents. If you're the biter or the bitee, like everybody is one of those from time to time, and everybody gets those reports. So-and-so was bit, so-and-so bit. And it gradually and usually rather quickly fades away when we don't draw too much attention or make it into a big thing. And instead, hey, biting is telling us that our child needs something. They need to communicate, they need to be understood, they're feeling frustrated, they're feeling overwhelmed, those sorts of things. Biting gets results. And so the big picture, speech typically grows in bursts. Like you will see that word explosion. And maybe by the time that you do your speech eval, usually there's a little bit of a lag time between I want to get a speech eval done, getting your pediatrician, to send the evaluation, getting it scheduled, all those sorts of things. Maybe they'll have that word explosion and you'll go and they'll say, yeah, they're right on track. What are you doing here? But by and large, it's, hey, let's figure out some strategies to make sure that we're not getting behind because communicating is so important. Hopefully it's helpful. If you have a question, I love to do these sort of kind of long form, nuanced responses. So check the link below and get your question asked and answered.